Hello and welcome to this Introduction to Technical Writing. In this video we are going to focus on both the rhetorical triangle and the course outcomes for this course. The main point of technical writing is that it helps people. It helps them to do a number of things. It helps them to complete tasks, to answer questions, to solve problems, and to make decisions. In other words, technical writing might help someone to complete a process, it might help them to find information that they need, it might help them to solve a problem that they're facing, or to make decisions, particularly difficult ones. We'll address all four of these issues in this course. The primary concept that I'd like you to understand is that technical communication is audience-centered. The audience is always the primary concern when we're writing a technical document. What will our audience need to know, to be able to do, or to be able to create as a result of the document or item that we're creating? To help us understand this, we'll first look at the rhetorical triangle. The rhetorical triangle is a common concept used by communicators, and it has three components. First, the audience, or the set of people or person we are intending to communicate to, the writer or designer, and the text or message. So these three elements interact in different ways depending on the primary motivation of the communication environment. So here's an example. You might have had a creative writing class in college or in high school, and in creative writing, the primary relationship in the rhetorical triangle is between the writer and the message. So in other words, if you're writing a poem about your dog, let's just say for example, the important point is that you, the writer, are communicating the text or message of the poem in a way that you express yourself fully. The audience is there. There might be someone who reads your poem. There might be someone who doesn't. There might be no audience at all. The important point is that you, the writer, are communicating the text or message to be communicated. Writing for school. We've all done this, right? You're going to be doing it in this class. The primary relationship in that communication situation is between the audience, or frequently your teacher or instructor, and yourself. In other words, the primary motivation for communication in that instance is to make sure that the audience or the teacher understands what you, the writer, knows about a particular subject. That subject is there and important, but it's not the primary motivation for the communication situation. You're probably not going to write an essay about Shakespeare just for fun. You're going to write an essay about Shakespeare so that your teacher understands that you know Shakespeare. Technical writing focuses on a different part of the triangle. In other words, the most important relationship is between the audience and the text or message. The audience has to understand the text or message that is being written. You're important, but not quite as important as the audience. When we say that technical communication is audience-centered, what we mean is that the audience and the message have to take the forefront. One way of just demonstrating that is if you open a set of instructions for setting up your new TV and you see they're written by Bob Smith, you're not immediately oh, I love Bob Smith's instructions. We don't know who Bob Smith is. So the writer in this case, or the designer, is not the forefront of the communication situation. The main intent is for the audience and the message to come together. Technical writing has a number of qualities. First of all, it's efficient and accessible. If our audience doesn't understand how to access or how to use the materials that we're providing, then there's no way for them to make a connection with the text that we're putting forward. Second of all, it's clear and relevant. Where in other communication situations, page length might be a requirement. In other words, for that communication situation of writing in school, you might have to write 10 pages to your instructor. The shorter, the better in technical communication. Oftentimes you're going to be writing to audiences that are busy or that aren't necessarily going to want to use what you're producing, so being clear, being consistent, and relevant is important. Technical writing uses media effectively. In other words, if the best way to get your message across to a particular group is a proposal or a report, that's great. But it also might be a website, a PowerPoint presentation, a blog. It uses the media that most effectively communicates with the audience. Technical writing is created both by individuals and by teams. As a professional in whatever discipline you choose for your study, you yourself will be writing individual documents, but you'll also be collaborating with people, and that collaboration will often come across the internet or other digital means. Technical writing increasingly targets a global audience, particularly now that we use Web 2.0 technology and do more web design and creation. Anyone out there in the cybersphere might be reading what we're writing. So we have to think about the global nature of the way that we're communicating with our audience. Technical writing is always persuasive and truthful. Even if you're writing a set of instructions that are just meant to be followed to carry out a particular set of tasks, you still need to persuade your audience that whatever you're putting forth to them is worth reading. And everything in technical communication should be truthful. Even if it doesn't necessarily immediately serve your purpose, the importance is that the important communication aspect is that your audience and your text or your message come through, and truthfulness or ethics is a large part of that. And finally, technical writing is frequently based on research. Even if you are a professional in your field and have a knowledge base, you're going to have to incorporate sources and ideas and others in order to reach the audience to whom you're communicating. We have 4 outcomes in our technical writing course, and I just want to talk briefly about how each one of these qualities of technical writing lines up with the course outcomes. As I've previously said, technical writing is audience-centered, so audience awareness is our primary outcome for the course. 6 out of the 7 elements relate directly to audience awareness. Audience awareness will be the centerpiece for each one of the assignments that we create in the course. And throughout the course, you'll see Think About It sections that direct you specifically to how to be aware of the audience for whom you're writing. Collaboration touches on the idea that technical communication is created by both individuals and teams, so we'll be working in the class both by ourselves and with others to create a variety of activities and projects. We use information literacy throughout the course, both in the way that our information is presented and in how it is researched. And finally, digital literacy touches on the fact that we want to pick the most efficient and accessible means for delivering our message, whatever media form that is, and that digital literacy requires at times that we use tools that help us communicate with others in creating the projects that we're going to create. I want to welcome you to this technical writing class. This has been a brief overview of the main components of the course, and I look forward to working with you throughout the term.